Welcome once again to our Experts in Industry series. I'm David Poirier, the CEO of the Poirier Group, and with us today is Marsha John-Greenwood. And Marsha is the Project Director of Transformation in the People and Equity Division of the City of Toronto. She has worked in diversity and CSR roles, integrating both business and people practices to improve employee engagement, leadership accountability, and understanding customers to improve service. Today, Marsha is going to be talking with us about how businesses responded to both the pandemic and the call for action on diversity. Marsha, we're delighted to have you with us today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Sure, thank you, David, and thanks for inviting me to be a part of this interesting discussion, conversation, at a time that's really, unknown to any of us having to go through something like this. So really a pleasure to be a part of adding just a little bit of perspective from my point of view.
And these are unprecedented times, as we always say, but enormous challenges for an HR role right now, an HR professional. What are the biggest challenges you're facing right now, and how are you combating or addressing them?
I think that's an excellent question, and I think as we, and I won't use the word completely recover, but as we go through this pandemic, there's been different phases. So from an HR perspective, when the start back in March, it was very much about how can we ensure that our employees have the access to the information, know what's going on, and how do we keep connected, right? That was very, very important. And with I work in a large organization, as you mentioned, City of Toronto at the moment. That is, there's added layers to that because of the types of work our colleagues do. So that's been a challenge, but something that we've been able to manage through a number of ways. Really kind of looking at some of the systems that we already have and starting to look at ways where we push information out and keep connected. So people were informed and they knew and they felt aware. With everything going around, what you wanted to create was an environment where, your organization takes the lead in ensuring that you're safe, takes the lead to ensuring that you're informed, and takes the lead to make sure that they are connected and there's ways for you to connect. So that was a challenge for us. The third thing I kind of want to just flag on is we probably did something a little bit unprecedented, is service where people connect with us and ask a quick question or find information. So we actually fast forwarded our plans by quite a bit and implemented the first phase of that. And that is part of our, obviously, where we're going anyway, but we brought it forward by quite a few months to ensure that we can meet the needs of our employees today.
We've seen organizations that have been extraordinarily successful and innovative through this period of time, and other organizations that have really struggled with it, both from the pandemic front, but also with the renewed energy around the call for true addressing of diversity within organizations. What are the things that HR professionals should draw from those successful companies that have done it well?
Is creating that environment with our leaders of the organization for people to do the first stage, which is to talk, which is to open up, which is to ensure that, through this time, and it's very difficult because of the number of things that are happening, is to create the dialogue. The other things that we've been doing again across the profession is really looking at what is the learning, what is the training that we can share, because there's things that we don't know, and I think this has become evident across what you see. That there's this big push to increase the understanding, and through that understanding we'll be learning. So not just webinars, but actually looking at creative and innovative ways to upskill, to train people. And really focusing and tuning on some of the issues and not being afraid to talk about them and not being afraid to address it in a way that we feel we can get some movement.
One of the comments that we often say that in conclusion we've drawn is that business and organizations have become much more human during this pandemic. We've really been able to see, in many cases, the whole person behind the role. And I think in some ways that's brought people closer together, a tighter sense of community. How do we keep that going forward, as we evolve through this?
I think what the pandemic and what the incidents that happen around diversity have really pushed us, because we're remote, we're kind of, we're forcibly creating, we're making sure we proactively kind of engage, speak to people, etc. And you're right, I think there will be a challenge for us, but I actually see it as a slightly different way. And I agree with your comment around it's made us see the whole person. Because I'm not sure what our new norm is, but I do know that it will be a new norm. There's a shift, it was forced on us for a number of different reasons, but there's some things that we definitely know that we want to keep. And now this additional layer, which you mentioned around the people side and seeing the whole person, is actually a really critical piece, because one of the things when you think about understanding other perspective and the diversity of knowledge and thoughts is about, actually seeing that person and being able to bring your whole self to work, to a situation. So I think it's incumbent on organizations to ensure that, they continue to create that environment where that's enabled and pushed forward.
Well, I know one of the things that we really appreciate about your role and how you've approached it is it's very much an integrated approach, with systems and operations. And that's all too rare, frankly, in the work that we do. We often see HR as a function, along with all the other functions, independent within the organization. And it's terrific to see how well you've brought that all together.